October 30th, 2024. Off the coast of Yemen, a U.S. military MQ-9 Reaper drone locks onto an unidentified object moving at extreme speed. The object is metallic and perfectly spherical. It has no wings, no exhaust, and no visible propulsion. The order comes through to engage. A Hellfire missile launches. It's a direct hit, but the strike has no visible effect. The object doesn't break apart. It doesn't change course. It simply keeps moving. Then, a former senior Pentagon intelligence official goes on record.
"We've never seen a Hellfire missile hit a target and bounce off."
9 months later, the footage is shown to Congress. And to this day, the Pentagon has not explained what that object was. But the object over Yemen wasn't an isolated incident, because for decades, military pilots, intelligence officers, radar operators, and even members of Congress have all been asking the same question: what exactly is sharing our skies? Tonight, we follow the evidence behind one of the most controversial mysteries of our time, the UFO phenomenon. Countries all over the world have seen something in the skies they cannot explain. Today, we're going to deep dive into one of the most talked about topics in human history, UFOs. I've been fascinated by UFOs since I was a kid. Every time I look up and see millions of stars, I've always believed in the possibility that we are not alone. Because when you look at how vast the universe really is, it's hard to believe that Earth is the only place where life exists. And that question, that curiosity, is exactly why I made this channel. I wanted to share my own journey into these mysteries and bring these stories to life through cinematic storytelling. This is where it all started for me. Personally, these two things had the biggest impact on me. The TV series Roswell from 1999. I loved the idea that aliens could be living among us, and the fact that it was built around the Roswell crash made it even more interesting. And Independence Day, still my favorite movie to this day. The moment those ships came out of the clouds, I was hooked. But what kept me interested wasn't the movies. It was the questions, the mysteries, and the possibilities. Every time I looked up at the night sky, I found myself wondering the same thing. What if we're not alone? What if there's something out there we still don't understand? The possibility that somewhere beyond all those stars, there might be answers we haven't found yet. And the older I got, the more fascinated I became by the stories, sightings, and mysteries surrounding the UFO phenomenon. So what exactly is a UFO? Most of you probably know this by now, but it stands for Unidentified Flying Object, something in the sky that cannot be explained by conventional aircraft, weather, or known technology. And it's not just the appearance of these objects that makes them unusual. These objects can hover completely still, move without any visible means of propulsion, accelerate and stop instantly, and change direction in ways that don't seem possible for conventional aircraft. And in some cases, move from air to water without slowing down, something the military refers to as transmedium travel. There are thousands of sightings reported every single year, and that number keeps growing. For a long time, a single sighting could be easily dismissed, but now, the reports are coming from all over the world. One witness can be dismissed, but thousands of reports spread across decades, that's much harder to ignore. So where did all of this begin? To answer that, we need to go back to the summer of 1945. The modern era of UFO sightings didn't really begin until after World War II, and more specifically, after the atomic bomb. Ever since then, reports of UFO sightings didn't just increase, they exploded. On July 16, 1945, the United States detonated the first atomic bomb at the Trinity test site in New Mexico. Within 2 years, reports began coming in from military personnel, scientists, and civilians living near nuclear facilities. What comes next moves beyond documented history and into theory. Some researchers theorize that the Trinity blast sent a signal across the universe, registering far beyond Earth the way a powerful earthquake can be detected across an entire planet. A signal that humanity had just entered a new era. And according to this theory, the universe may already contain a structure capable of carrying information across vast distances. Scientists call it the cosmic web, a vast network of dark matter filaments connecting every galaxy, every solar system, everything that exists. And if everything is connected, could something as powerful as the first atomic bomb have been noticed beyond Earth? Now, whether you believe that theory or not, the years that followed would become some of the most important in UFO history, and it all began with a single sighting, the sighting that started it all. June 24th, 1947. A pilot named Kenneth Arnold is flying over Mount Rainier in Washington state. He sees 9 objects flying in formation, at speeds he estimated at over 1,200 miles per hour. He described their motion as saucers skipping across water. A reporter took that description and turned it into a shape, and just like that, the flying saucer was born. What's fascinating is that Arnold wasn't describing what the objects looked like. He was describing how they moved, but the term stuck, becoming part of UFO history forever. I'll be honest, I've been fascinated by UFOs for most of my life, and I only learned that while researching this video. And for the next several decades, the flying saucer would become the symbol of the UFO phenomenon. 13 days later, something crashes in the desert during a thunderstorm in Roswell, New Mexico. The military's first press release stated that they had recovered a flying disc. But within 24 hours, the story changed. Officials now claimed the wreckage was nothing more than a weather balloon. Not everyone believed that explanation. Roswell would go on to become the most famous UFO case in history, and Roswell was only the beginning. Over the next 2 decades, reports continued pouring in from across the United States. The Air Force eventually launched Project Blue Book, a formal investigation into UFO sightings that ran from 1952 to 1969. By the time it ended, Project Blue Book had investigated 12,618 reported sightings. Most were eventually given conventional explanations, but 701 cases remained officially unexplained. Then the project was shut down. And for many people, that only created more questions. The sightings never stopped. If anything, they became easier to document. The internet changed everything. Now people can capture footage on their phones and share it with the world in real time. A UFO sighting in one part of the world could be seen everywhere within minutes. Millions of people could see it for themselves. And then in 2020, the Pentagon made it official. They retired the term UFO, and it's now called UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Now maybe it was just a name change, maybe it wasn't, but some researchers think there's more to it than that. Search UFO today and you'll find decades of pop culture, conspiracy theories, and science fiction. Search UAP and you'll find congressional hearings, declassified footage, and military pilots going on record. Same phenomenon, but different search results. Ask yourself why. We've talked about the history, but what do these objects actually look like? I've always found this part fascinating, because if thousands of people are really reporting the same phenomenon, why are there so many different shapes? When most people think of a UFO, they picture the classic flying saucer, a metallic disc with a smooth surface, no wings, and no visible exhaust. That's the image most of us grew up with. But according to official government reports, the most commonly reported shape isn't the flying saucer at all. It's orbs and spheres.
Yeah, it was over there. At first I thought it was a star or something. It was really bright, almost glowing. Then all of a sudden it split into 3 lights and disappeared. I still don't know what it was.
They are often described as glowing balls of light, sometimes metallic, sometimes translucent. Some appear as simple points of light in the sky.
This thing was huge. It was a perfect triangle, and there was no sound. Oh, and it had 3 lights underneath it.
Then there are the triangular craft, large, silent objects with a distinct light at each corner. Some witnesses describe them as being the size of a football field, moving slowly through the night sky without making a sound. And then there are the outliers, The 8-pointed star shape captured in declassified Pentagon footage is one of the strangest examples ever recorded. Not all reported UFOs look like traditional craft. One of the strangest examples is the jellyfish UAP. Captured in military infrared footage, the object appeared to have dangling appendages and moved through the air with no visible means of propulsion. There are also the cigar-shaped craft, large cylindrical objects that have been reported for decades. Some witnesses describe them as being enormous in size, leading to speculation that they may be capable of carrying smaller craft. But one of the most talked about designs isn't alleged to come from deep space at all. It's the TR-3B, a massive triangular craft with 3 glowing lights that has become one of the most persistent black-budget aviation rumors in UFO history. Some researchers believe it was developed under a classified government program using reverse-engineered technology. And that's only scratching the surface. Because beyond the saucers, spheres, triangles, jellyfish, and cigar-shaped craft are dozens of other reported designs. Tic-tacs, boomerangs, chevron-shaped objects, oval egg-shaped craft, shapes that don't seem to fit into any category at all. That raises a question. If people around the world are reporting the same phenomenon, why does it appear in so many different forms? And if we are not alone in the universe, then is it possible that these objects weren't all designed by the same intelligence? In recent years, something changed. For the first time, governments around the world began releasing information that had been hidden from the public for decades. In February 2026, President Trump signed an executive order demanding full transparency on UAPs. What followed was one of the largest public releases of UAP-related materials in U.S. history. But the road to disclosure didn't start in 2026. In December 2017, the New York Times published 3 military videos that would become known around the world as the Tic Tac, the Gimbal, and the Go Fast. Navy pilots encountering objects with no wings, no exhaust, no visible propulsion, moving in ways that seem to defy everything we understand about physics. Then in 2020, the Pentagon officially released the videos. One of those pilots was retired Commander David Fravor. He described what he saw off the coast of California in 2004. Commander Fravor said, "I think it was not from this world. I have never seen anything in my history of flying that has the performance, the acceleration. Keep in mind, this thing had no wings." The Pentagon confirmed the videos were authentic military footage. The objects themselves remained unidentified. In 2022, the Pentagon created AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. It was created to investigate UAP reports from every branch of the military. By October 2024, AARO had received 1,652 reports. Then came September 9, 2025, a congressional hearing that would later become known as the Hellfire hearing. Representative Eric Burleson presented military footage that had never been shown to the public before. The footage appeared to show an unidentified object surviving a direct Hellfire missile strike. 3 military witnesses testified that no known U.S. technology could survive something like that. A Hellfire missile, one of the most powerful precision weapons in the U.S. military's arsenal, appeared to strike the object, and the object kept going. The Pentagon was asked for comment, but no public explanation was provided. That wasn't the only thing shown that day. Air Force veteran Jeffrey Nuxitelli described the Vandenberg Red Square, a 2003 incident at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. An object appeared in restricted airspace above one of the most secure military installations in the United States. Multiple personnel observed the object hovering above the facility before it suddenly disappeared. No public explanation was ever given. Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer Alexandra Wiggins testified about his own encounters, objects moving at speeds and performing maneuvers that no known aircraft could replicate. These were military veterans testifying under oath before Congress. Then, May 8, 2026, the U.S. government launched Pursue, a public release of 162 declassified files from the FBI, the Pentagon, NASA, and the State Department, including documents, photographs, videos, and military reports spanning from 1944 to the present day. For the first time, anyone could access them. Among the released files, one video generated more attention than many of the other cases. An infrared sensor locks onto something moving through the sky, an 8-pointed object with arms of alternating length, leaving a visible trail behind it. The White House reposted the video. A congresswoman compared it to a biblical figure. The Pentagon has not publicly explained what it is. Then a second release followed, containing over 50 additional videos and documents. Multiple orbs surrounding a U.S. submarine, moving in different directions and executing rapid direction changes, with some floating on the surface. 3 UAPs flying in formation over the Persian Gulf, a UAP over Syria, an MQ-9 Reaper drone locks onto the object. Then it executes an instantaneous direction change and vanishes. Countless orange orbs swarming a U.S. military helicopter, close enough that the crew could see them with the naked eye, a spherical object pulsing over water. They also released 7 NASA audio recordings from the Apollo and Mercury missions. The first release contained 162 files. The second added more than 50 additional videos and documents. Together, they represented decades of encounters collected by multiple government agencies. Some cases have been resolved, some remain under investigation, others still have no conclusive explanation. After decades of secrecy, the government was now publicly acknowledging that these encounters existed. Not every case remained unexplained, but not every case had an explanation either. Now that we've looked at the sightings, the videos, and the testimonies, let's talk about another side of this story. I'm talking about the people who claimed there was more happening behind the scenes. In 2023, former intelligence officer David Grusch testified before Congress under oath. Grusch claimed that the United States government possesses recovered craft of non-human origin. He also testified that some of these programs were so heavily compartmentalized that even people with the appropriate security clearances were denied access. According to Grusch, multiple current and former officials provided information supporting those claims. How could something like this remain hidden for decades? Part of the answer may lie in something called a Special Access Program, or SAP. Access is limited, information is compartmentalized, and most people working inside the government never see the full picture, which means even within the government, not everyone sees the same information. And Grusch wasn't the first person to describe a structure like that. Decades earlier, another story began to surface, a group known as Majestic 12. According to the documents, a small team of military, intelligence, and scientific officials was created to manage recovered materials and control information related to the UFO phenomenon. But what makes the story interesting isn't the documents themselves, it's how closely the structure they described resembles claims being made decades later. And honestly, there's a lot more to the Majestic 12 story than we can cover here. It probably deserves its own investigation someday. Then there's Area 51. For decades, the government denied it existed. In 2013, that changed. Not because the facility was suddenly declassified, but because documents released through a Freedom of Information Act request officially acknowledged its existence for the first time. I've been fascinated by UFOs for a long time, but I never expected to have an experience of my own. A few years ago, me and my wife were driving through Arizona. It was a clear day with blue skies. We were just driving and talking when we noticed something up in the sky. It was a metallic round sphere, just sitting there in the middle of a clear sky. We watched it for a few seconds, then it just vanished. We both looked at each other and said, "Did we just see a UFO?" The other experience happened when we visited Sedona. We joined one of their night sky tours. They took us to a very dark area with almost no city lights. The sky was crystal clear. At first, everyone gathered in a circle and sat down while the guides explained how the tour worked. Then they handed out military-grade night vision goggles. Before we started looking for anything unusual, they showed us how planes and satellites appear through the goggles so we could tell the difference. Then they explained what they considered a UFO and what to watch for. They even gave us a laser pointer to share with the group if we spotted something. My wife and I were blown away. We both saw glowing lights that would move, stop, and then change direction. And not just one, we saw at least a dozen. It was a really eye-opening experience. So here's where we are. A Hellfire missile hit something off the coast of Yemen, and that something kept going. 701 sightings from Project Blue Book were never explained. 1,652 official government reports and counting. Decorated military veterans testifying under oath before Congress. 162 declassified government files, then 50 more, and the official conclusion is still unresolved. My wife and I watched a metallic sphere disappear from a clear Arizona sky. We honestly don't know what it was. Then in Sedona, we saw lights moving in ways we couldn't explain. We genuinely don't know what we saw that night. The UFO phenomenon remains one of the most mysterious subjects in human history. This isn't one sighting from one country. These are reports spanning decades. We're talking about military pilots, radar operators, intelligence officers, astronauts, ordinary people who just happened to look up. Governments around the world have collected reports for decades. The Pentagon released the videos. Congress held the hearings. Hundreds of files have been declassified. And after all of it, we still don't have an answer. We know people are seeing something. We just don't know what it is. Sometimes I think about the age of the universe. Earth is roughly 4.5 billion years old. Modern human civilization has only existed for a tiny fraction of that time. Yet in just a few thousand years, we've gone from stone tools to satellites, nuclear weapons, and machines capable of leaving our planet. We assume life somewhere else would need the same things we need. But how do we know that? Every year, scientists discover life surviving in places where they once thought life was impossible. So what would a civilization look like with a 1,000-year head start on us? What about 10,000 years? A million? Would we even recognize their technology at all? The universe is roughly 13.8 billion years old. That's a long time for us to be alone. History becomes legend. Legend becomes myth. But sometimes, even myths begin with something real. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My name is Kel, and this is Muphex. If you enjoyed this or learned something new, hit those buttons down there, like subscribe, comment, share. It helps more than you know. Before you go, I have something special to show you. We're launching the Muphex decks, a collectible card series built around every creature, conspiracy, and phenomenon we investigate on this channel. To celebrate the launch, all cards in this first run will be marked as First Edition. Every month, I'll be giving away a free Bronze Edition card. To enter, subscribe, like this video, and comment Muphex card below. And if you'd like guaranteed access to exclusive silver and gold editions, you'll find all the details in the description. If you want to go a step further and be part of the Muphex family, we're on Patreon. Links in the description. Every bit of support means everything and helps keep Muphex alive. Always keep an open mind, anything is possible, and always be kind to one another. I'll see you in the next one.